Hi, I'm Tatum, and today I'm going to be reviewing Imaginara at Thanksgiving Point at the Ashton Gardens. Real quick, I'm going to touch on, if you've never been to Thanksgiving Point before, don't put Thanksgiving Point into your Google Maps to get to the Imaginara. The Imaginara is actually located at the Ashton Gardens. So Thanksgiving Point is the big company that runs Ashton Gardens, the Curiosity Museum, and the Dinosaur History Museum, and the Butterfly Museum over there. But Ashton Gardens is where Imaginara is actually held. So look up Ashton Gardens. So we went opening day, June 2nd, so things may change. They may get some things updated. When we went in, there were some activities like the Enchanted Forest that wasn't completed yet. So just be aware that some things may change. My only complaint about Imaginara is that they do have a waiver that you have to sign, and so they didn't have a member line or a prepaid ticket line. They just had 3 lines that were open to everybody, and it was very busy, and there was no way to get through that line quickly. And if you have toddlers, you understand why a line makes a big difference or not. I absolutely recommend Imaginara if you're worried that your kids might be scared of some of the animatronics that they do there at Thanksgiving Point, because they had the big dinosaurs that move, but it was just a little section, so there were other things to do. They had the giant bugs that was super cool to look at. They had the big dinosaurs. They had some sea creatures. And then the things that didn't move, they had like a pirate ship. They had a splash pad area. We didn't see the splash pad. I don't know if that's coming or if that's not going to happen this year, but we did play in a big foam bubble pit, and that was a lot of fun. I want to touch on the foam bubble pit real quick. So in the bottom of the foam pit, you definitely get a pool of water and soap. And so if you're worried about your kids getting too soaked, I would bring a change of clothes and a towel. Or you can just tell your kids that they need to stay on their feet the whole time that they're playing in the bubble pit, and then they're not going to get as wet. That's what my kids did. They just stayed on their feet. They didn't splash around in the water. But, you know, if your kid falls, they're going to get soaked. It's definitely a possibility. But the foam pit was so much fun. Anytime they would turn on the big bubble maker, all the kids went wild, and it was a lot of fun. I love taking a picnic anytime I go to any of the Thanksgiving Point activities. There are always picnic tables and lots of shady places to sit and have lunch, so you don't have to use that extra cost to buy lunch there. But they did have food trucks, so if you're looking to get lunch while you're there, there's food trucks and there's lots of different options. I saw a chicken truck, and then they have like their normal food stand, and that sells burgers and fries and hot dogs, all beef hot dogs. There were a lot of shaded areas, so if you don't wear sunscreen, there are definitely lots of places to take shade breaks, and it wasn't too hot. They had like the big fans, and they had lots of misters, so it wasn't too hot, though I imagine some of the toys will probably still get hot when summer really hits. All of the activities are pretty close together. If you've ever been to the Ashton Gardens, you know how large of an area that is, but they have that big, can't remember what it's called, the big hill in the middle. All of the activities are around that hill. It's all kind of in a circle. The only activity that's a little bit further away is the foam pit, and that's over by the Rose Garden. If you're familiar with the area at all, I'm always worried about a kid like getting distracted and then losing the group, but it was all close together, and so it was pretty safe feeling. They do have an activity punch card, and that was kind of expensive, and a lot of the activities were things that you could do at home, like making a fairy wand. You can look that up on Pinterest, get the things from the dollar store. Fairy wings, there were pirate hats that you can make, and I'm trying to think, the only one that I paid for that I really liked was a scavenger hunt, and I sent one of my older tweens to do the scavenger hunt while the little kids played in like the little kid bounce house. Oh, and I loved that too. They had different bounce houses for different age groups. So they had a bounce house that was for 4 and under, and then they had a big obstacle course that was for 5 and above, and then they had another bounce house that was kind of all ages. So it was really nice that it was kind of spread out, and like the big kids had their own area. And again, you could see the big kids obstacle course from where the little kids bounce house was. So if you're going with a big group, you can kind of see and manage everybody. Um, the only other note was that their face painters are definitely not trained face painters. So if it's your first time getting a face painted, or if you have kids that aren't willing to wait in a long line, just be aware that it's gonna take a little bit to get their line if you see a line. And I think that was all of my notes. We had a lot of fun. If you've never been to any of the Ashton Garden animatronic things, definitely, again, I recommend going because you're going to see a little bit of everything. As a member who goes and gets to see all the things, I don't love it because it wasn't anything new except for the foam pit. But it was fun that we got to like touch on everything, and we're going to take lots of friends who've never gone before and see what they think of a little bit of everything. Thank you. Have a great day. And as always, stay curious, stay kind, and don't let the world miss your awesomeness.